Earl Gardner was the last person to be legally hanged in Arizona, and his whole story, from beginning to the very end, is quite gruesome. Gardner was born on August 2nd of 1906 on the San Carlos Apache Reservation. Not much is known about his early life other than he was bullied for his small stature and quickly developed a fierce temper. That temper would grow into cruelty, leading to him becoming an outcast within his own tribe. His rage would come to a head in 1925 when he drunkenly stabbed a man to death at a party. As a result, Gardner was sentenced to 13 years in prison, but unfortunately for everyone but Gardner, he would be released on parole after 7. Gardner was released in 1932 and married a young woman, 8 years his junior. It likely comes as no surprise that Gardner was very abusive to his young wife. In 1935, Gardner's uncontrolled rage would once again lead to murder. Unfortunately, this time there would be 2 victims. On December 8th, Gardner would wield an axe to violently attack his 20-year-old wife and their 27-day-old son. I will spare you the gruesome details, but to say the baby mercifully died instantly. His wife would die an hour later in the hospital. Upon arrest, Gardner did not resist. In fact, he confessed immediately. He professed, "I wasn't drunk this time, just crazy." He justified his actions with the following. To quote from the Arizona Daily Star newspaper, "Sure, I killed them. My wife wanted me to stay at home taking care of the baby while she ran around. I'm tired of cleaning diapers for babies." If that wasn't awful enough, the, quote, running around that his wife wanted to do was to attend her church. Gardner was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, to which he tried to plead guilty. He said it was better to die like an Apache than to die a little each day in prison. But for some reason that I cannot fathom, the judge would not accept his guilty plea and forced him to trial. That trial began on January 20th of 1936. The very next day, Gardner once again confessed to his crime and asked for the death penalty. Quite surprisingly, the trial ended in a hung jury. All of the jurors did find Gardner guilty, but were split 10-2 on the death penalty. His next trial began just a few weeks later. This time, the jury took only 30 minutes to reach a unanimous decision. Gardner was found guilty and sentenced to death. When the judge asked Gardner if he had anything to say, he responded, "I want you to get a good strong rope and have this happen immediately." But Gardner's attorney went against his wishes and appealed the sentence. The appeal, however, was unsuccessful. The death sentence would stand. Arizona had been utilizing the gas chamber to carry out their death sentences ever since they had a horrifyingly botched hanging in 1930. But that's a whole story for another video. Because Gardner committed these murders on the Apache Reservation, the death sentence fell under federal jurisdiction, which meant a hanging. Gardner's execution date was set for July 13th of 1936. He would wait out his time on death row at the Gila County Jail in Globe. And because Arizona no longer used hangings for their death penalty, the execution had to be carried out on federal land. Officials chose the Coolidge Dam within the San Carlos Apache Reservation, but with no gallows available, they were left to improvise. An abandoned rock crusher was used to create a makeshift scaffold. Authorities feared that the Apache tribe would retaliate during the execution, and took many precautions to mitigate that possibility. Gardner himself was removed from the Gila County Jail under the cover of nightfall, wearing heavy restraints and escorted by 3 guards and a federal marshal. Gardner was taken out to the Coolidge Dam the night before his execution. He sat in the car under the watch of the guards for the next 5 hours until sunrise. More than 36 deputies patrolled the area in anticipation of the Apache attack, but it never came. Not a single member of Gardner's tribe came to his aid that day. They didn't like him either. As the sun rose over that desolate canyon, they all knew it was time. Gardner was led up the crude structure that would soon bring his demise. He stood upon the hastily constructed platform before a small crowd of witnesses. When asked if he had any last words, he replied, "Well, I'll be glad to get it over with." And with that, the trapdoor was released. Gardner dropped through, but as he did, the noose slipped around to the front of his neck, causing him to fall off center. His body hit the side of the trapdoor on the way down. It broke his fall, but the rope did not break his neck. His body hung there, thrashing about as he gasped for air, slowly suffocating. A doctor periodically checked on Gardner, but did not intervene. As the story goes, eventually the sheriff stepped up onto the platform. He reached his foot through the trapdoor and pushed his boot down upon Gardner. He pressed down with enough force to tighten the noose around Gardner's neck and cut off his breathing. After 33 excruciating minutes, Gardner was finally dead. His execution was so horribly botched that it led to Congress changing the law that mandated hanging for federal death penalty cases. Gardner would be the very last legal hanging in Arizona. Let me know what you think in the comments. Was this cruel and unusual punishment? Or did Gardner get what he deserved? And that's going to be it for this episode. It was another short but not so sweet one. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit those buttons, like, subscribe, all the things, so I can keep making more videos and you will never miss any dark Arizona history. If you would like even more of those stories sent straight to your inbox, you can sign up for my newsletter, The Phantom Postbox. And if you know what that's in a reference to, you're extra cool. The Phantom Toll Booth was one of my favorite books as a kid. You can find that at the link below. I will send you 2 extra stories every month for free, of course. If you would like to show support for the show while sporting some sweet AZ attire, check out my merch link below, where you'll find this t-shirt as well as several other designs. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm Emily, and this is AZ Unveiled. I will see you where the desert gets dark.